Aloha. Have you ever felt like your voice didn't matter? Like the struggles you faced somehow disqualified you from your own story? Well, I know the feeling. For a long time, I stayed silent, believing my pain made me unworthy. I learned the truth that your voice is not your wound, it's a weapon. It's not a weight, it's a gift. And it might be the key that just helps someone else and unlocks their freedom. I had to learn that the hard way. I went through years of domestic violence, but today I want to show you the Aloha way. It's a framework that shaped my life, and it can shape yours too. So it was 2010, and my mom just passed away. I was already in this really bad relationship, and it just got worse. I think it got worse because she was no longer here for me to run away to and hide, when things got really bad. But this day, it was awful. And I was up in the room, and I just knew that it was going to get bad. He came up behind me, and I was like so afraid. I could feel it. Just that fear in me. My heart was pounding. My breath was like shaking. I was like, he's coming. I could hear him. That steps in the back of you, that hair standing up in the back of your neck, that feeling where you just know someone's behind you. And I tried to get up, in the room faster, but I just couldn't. And he came up behind me, pushed me in the room, and slammed the door. And I was like, oh no. And this time I thought I could fight back. I realized that I had the phone in my back pocket. I took it out and I said, stop, I'm going to call the police. He took the phone, he slammed it, broke it, and threw it on the ground. And I looked down, and all I could see was a black shattered screen. And he said, I bought it. I can break it. It's mine. And I realized he took control over everything. And so it was that fear, right? But something was in me, and that was God, right? That voice, that small voice. And God said, use your voice. And I realized that the window behind me was open. And I stepped back and I started speaking out, and I said, you can't keep me in here. You already broke my phone. And he already hit me, so I was bleeding. I said, my mouth is bleeding. And I kept speaking out the things that already happened, right? So that I was hoping someone could hear. I knew that there was a guard shack down in the corner, so I was praying that there was someone there. So I was speaking out. And thank God, yes, someone heard me. There was a guard at the guard shack. They heard me. A police officer came to the door, and his son was in the house. I never even knew anyone was in the house at the time, but he came knocking on the door and said there was a policeman at the door. But that was the moment that I knew that things had to change. I had to get out. I had to get safe. And fast forward, I got out. I got safe. But there was that part in me that still didn't feel safe. That part of me that still felt like shut up, right? Shut, quiet, tied up. where I had to keep quiet to be safe. I remember I would come into the garage, close the door before opening the door of the car. That kind of fear still lived in me. And I knew that I had to come out of that. So through healing, through reaching out to my church, through therapy, I grew, and I thank God for the people that came across in my life. And I was able to heal from all of that. And that's where the Aloha Way came about, because everyone that I told my story to, they were saying, you need to write this down. You need to write it out. You need to share your story, because somewhere there's somebody else who's living that same thing, and you can help this person. And I thought, no, not me, right? Not me. But as I prayed, I said, God, if you need me to share my story, if you need me to write this book, then you need to help me, because I've never wrote a book before in my life. I don't even know how. Where do I start? And he said, I gave you everything in Aloha. And I was like, what do you mean? A, affirmations and actions. L, leadership and love. O, overcoming obstacles. The health and healing, and the acute awareness. And I was like, you're absolutely right. That is how I got through all of that. And that is how I am where I am today. And so I want to go through the affirmations and actions. We often wait until we are ready before we even take action, right? But actions come first. Confidence follows. We have to take that first step, right? We all know Kaley. If you don't know, she was painfully shy before she went out, and she was like, I'm going to have lunch with 100 strangers. And that's where she came out of that, by taking those actions. What's that small action? You can ask yourself, what small action could you take that says that your story matters, right? Because I believe we all have a story that matters. Our story matters. Our voice matters. And L, the leadership and love. Leadership isn't about titles. It begins how you lead yourself. And that's one thing I had to learn, because if I didn't lead myself out of that situation, I would still be in it. It was years of being in it before I even got out. And that starts with loving yourself. You know, Maya Angelou, she was silent as a child. She stopped speaking for 5 years because she believed that her speaking caused the death of someone, I think it was the death of someone, but she stopped speaking for a long time. And then when she finally chose to speak, it was amazing, right? Her voice changed multitudes, all because of choosing to lead herself out of something. Overcoming obstacles. Obstacles aren't stop signs. They're just stepping stones. Stepping stones into something that is yet to be seen. We don't know, but you have to take that first step. So Oprah Winfrey, right? She was born into poverty, surviving abuse, rejected countless times in her career. Yet she turned those obstacles into the very fuel that fueled her platform now. The health and healing. back when I was in that abusive situation, I got up to 225 pounds. When I released that all, I went down to 135. And I know how that is. True healing isn't found in hiding. It's found in sharing. It's found in living out your life. I wrote my book and I've shared it with so many people. I've taken it to London. I've taken it all over the world. Lisa Nichols is living proof. Once a single mom. She was on public assistance, and I've had the honor of meeting her and her son, and her decision to stop hiding and start sharing her story. If she didn't start sharing her story about that health and healing that she went through, I wouldn't be here. So it takes that healing and acute awareness. Corrie Ten Boom in World War II, her and her family hid, and it was a horrible time. She could have stayed silent, but she was aware that her silence would cost lives. Even after surviving the concentration camp, she spent her life sharing her testimony. Awareness means recognizing. My story carries weight beyond me, and that's one thing. When I wrote my story, when I wrote Walking in Aloha, I had my name on it. I had my picture on the back. And when I went to publish and the editors were reading it, and I got a call and they asked me, the person that you're writing about, is he still alive? I was like, yeah. And I didn't even realize, I didn't even think about it. And they said, well, it might not be safe for you to have your name on the cover of your book or your picture on the back. And I was angry. I was really mad. I was like, what? And they said, it might not be safe. So you may want to change the parts inside, because if he reads it, he's going to know it's about him. Or change the name on the cover. I really felt like he was taking something else away from me. And I literally told my publisher, let me call you back. I was so upset. I'm like, let me call you back. So I hung up and I went to prayer. And it didn't take me but a second. As soon as I hung up that phone and I went to prayer, God said, it's not about you. And I called them right back and I said, it's not about me. And I changed the name on the cover. It's published in Phoenix Rose. Phoenix for the bird that rised above the ashes, right? Rising out of the ashes. And Rose because I wanted to keep a part of myself. Ibala Rosa. And that is the way that it is published. But other than that, I published it that way, but I was mad. And now I know that it's not about me. So in closing, I want you to know that your voice, as mine was and is your superpower. That you were created by the Creator to be a creative, and your time is now. Don't wait until the moment feels perfect, because it never will. Take one step, share one sentence, write one page, because your voice can shift the atmosphere, change hearts, and leave a legacy that outlives you. Thank you.